Come, come, let's hear the moral story. Come, come, let's hear the moral story.
You know, this is one of those classic stories all about ingenuity. We're going to break down how a crazy clever plan, a little bit of nerve, and one very special cat completely flipped a young man's life upside down, taking him from total poverty to unbelievable riches. So let's start with a big question. Is the best inheritance money? Is it property? Or could it be something you'd never expect? Well, our story kicks off with an inheritance that seems to answer that question in just about the worst way possible. All right, so check this out. After a miller passes away, here's how things get split up. The oldest son, he gets the mill. Makes sense, right? It's a business. The second son gets the donkey, a solid work animal. And our guy, the youngest, he gets the cat. That's it. A cat. I mean, talk about a rough start. And you can just feel the despair in that question, right? He sees absolutely no future, no value in what he's been given. He's pretty much hit rock bottom before the story has even really gotten going. But then, something completely wild happens. The cat talks. And not only does he talk, he makes this incredibly bold promise. All he asks for is a pair of boots and a sack. And right there, that's the moment the whole game changes. Our real hero has just stepped onto the scene. Okay, so now we get into the first part of the cat's master plan. See, this cat understands something crucial. Perception is reality. If he wants to make his master a big shot, he first has to create the idea of one. He's basically building a brand, a legend, from absolutely nothing. And the strategy? It's just so simple, it's brilliant. First, get the tools, the boots and the sack. Then, use those tools to catch some fancy game for the king. Step 3, invent a totally fake but very important sounding noble title. And finally, use those gifts to build up a killer reputation with the most important person around. It's a masterclass in influence. And this line, this is absolutely key. Every single time he shows up at the palace, he says these exact words. He's not just dropping off gifts. He's running a brilliant PR campaign, drilling this made-up name deep into the king's mind. And get this just shows you the sheer nerve of this cat. His master has zero idea he's just been given this surprise promotion to the nobility. He's completely in the dark while his cat is out there building his entire public image from scratch. It's kind of hilarious. All right, so the reputation is building. People are buzzing about this mysterious marquis. But now comes the really hard part. The fake marquis has to actually show up in person. It's time to go from legend to reality. And that brings a whole new set of problems. Which brings us to a huge problem. You can have the fanciest title in the world, but if you show up dressed in rags, the whole charade just crumbles instantly. So how does the cat solve this with, zero budget for a new wardrobe? The cat's next move seems, well, it seems totally random. He tells his master, "Go bathe in the river. Trust me." A swim? What good is that going to do? But we're starting to learn. This cat always has an angle. This is just setting the stage. And sure enough, just as the king's carriage rolls by, the cat launches into this incredible performance. He creates a huge emergency, yelling at the top of his lungs, "Help! The marquis is drowning!" Of course, the king is going to stop. But this is the genius part. He doesn't just say he's drowning. He adds, "And thieves have stolen his clothes." Boom. In one sentence, he explains why a rich nobleman is naked in a river, and he makes the king feel totally obligated to help. It is just masterful social engineering. And the payoff is immediate and, frankly, spectacular. The king hooks him up with some fine royal clothes. Suddenly, the miller's son actually looks like a marquis. And what happens when you look the part? The princess starts to take notice. The plan is working even better than anyone could have imagined. So let's recap. The Marquis has the name, he's got the look, and he's definitely got the princess's attention. But he's still missing one tiny detail: any actual land or money. To fix that, the cat's gotta face his biggest and most dangerous challenge yet. So, as the king's carriage is rolling along, the cat sprints ahead. He gets to the fields and tells all the peasants, hey, when the king asks who owns this land, you tell him it belongs to the Marquis of Carabas, or else. He's creating a pop up estate through pure intimidation. But the real owner of all this land? An actual, honest to goodness ogre. A terrible creature who lives in a massive castle. And this ogre has a superpower that makes him seem unbeatable. He can change into any animal he wants. So how in the world does a cat beat a shape-shifting ogre? Not with force, that's for sure. He uses psychology. First, he butters him up. Wow, I hear you can turn into a lion? That's incredible. Then he goes right for the ego. But I bet you can't turn into something really small, like a mouse. He's challenging the ogre's pride, not his power. And you can see the brilliant trap right here. The ogre proves his power by becoming a huge, dangerous lion. But his pride just can't let the challenge go, so he has to prove his finesse by becoming a tiny, squeaking, and very edible mouse. He was so busy showing off his strength, he completely forgot about his weakness. And then, snap. In one single, decisive moment, the ogre's pride becomes his downfall. And just like that, the problem of the castle, the land, and all the wealth is solved in one bite. So the ogre's gone. The massive castle is now conveniently empty. All the pieces are finally in place for the grand finale. The cat built the brand, got the outfit, and now he's acquired the real estate. It's time to close the deal. And I just love the confidence here. The cat doesn't hesitate for a second. He strolls up to the front door and says, "Welcome to the castle of the Marquis of Carabas." He presents this castle he acquired moments ago as if they were just waiting for guests, cementing the entire illusion for good. I mean, let's just step back and look at this journey. It is unbelievable. Our guy starts with literally nothing but a cat. Then, thanks to some serious scheming, he becomes the famous Marquis of Carabas. And by the end, he's married to a princess and is the lord of a huge castle. What a glow-up. And that really brings us back to where we started. It leaves us with this final thought. Is it better to be born rich or to just happen to have a very, very clever cat? It kind of makes you think that maybe ingenuity, strategy, and a loyal friend are worth more than any inheritance you could ever get. What do you think?